Hello everyone, Human Hard Drive here, today doing another Arduino tutorial. Today I'm answering a lot of questions I got asking for an example for Arduino serial communications with a little more in-depth into how to do some parsing, because in the video I did, this was Arduino tutorial number 4, the parsing I did wasn't exactly optimal and was rather limited in what it could do, so today this tutorial is going to go a little more, like I said, in-depth and do a little more complex parsing. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. For this, you're going to need to know a little bit of how to do some string parsing, some string searching, because that's pretty much what this tutorial is going to use, is strings to sort commands, basically. So let's just go ahead and set up the serial port, because that's what we're going to be using. I'm using the Visual Micro plugin to do this tutorial because it'll make things a little easier later on. I'm starting the serial at 115/200 baud just because that's what the debugger uses natively, so get everything talking at the right speed. Okay. And I'm going to create a string variable, and we'll just call that command. This is the variable that's going to contain the string data that we're going to pull in from the serial buffer. So go into the loop, if serial.available. We're going to create a character variable, we'll just call that C, equals serial.read. If C equals a new line, this is how we judge when the end of a command comes in, if we receive a new line character. So every command is separated by a new line, and we'll set that up in the serial monitor when we go to test this. So if the character is a new line, we'll get back to that in a second, else command plus equals C, so we're just going to append the character C to the end of command. Actually, in here we're just going to clear the command variable. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to create a separate function, void parse command, and this is going to take a string argument, and we'll just call it com, short for command. And for this, I'm going to create, I'm looking to do a command with two parts. So what, I should have mentioned this at the beginning, what we're doing is we're going to create a parsing system to accept two-part commands to turn a pin on and off. So we're going to be able to turn any pin on the Arduino on and off. So it'll accept the pin on or off command and then the number argument along with it. So that's what we're trying to do. So I'll go up here and set pin mode 3 as an output, pin mode 4 as an output, and pin mode 5 as an output. Optut. There we go, output. So these are the three pins we'll be able to control, and you'll see that in a second. So, so the two parts are going to be string part 1 and string part 2. Creative naming system. And then we'll just jump up back here. So if we get the new line, we're just going to say parse command, and then we're going to feed it the command variable we've been filling data into. So now let's work out the parsing command. This is where the parsing is done, because it's the parsing command function. So the first thing we need to do is divide the command we've sent it into two parts. So I'm envisioning something like this. We're going to say pin on and then the number pin. So we'll say pin on 3 or pin off 3. So it's going to be separated by this space. So part 1 is going to be com.substring. We're going to go from the beginning of the string to com.index of, and then just a space. So this is going to read from the beginning of the string. If you don't know what substring does, is it takes a subpart of a big string given two arguments, the beginning of where you want to read and the end of what you want to read. So what this will do is it'll read from the beginning right up until the space, but not including the space. And then we're going to say part 2 is com.substring, and then anything after com.index of space plus 1. So what part 2 is, anything after the space plus 1 character, because we don't want the space. This will, if we ignore the plus 1, we'll get space and then the number. We just want the number, so we move 1 character over. So this is going to be a word argument, or a word command, and a number argument. So if part 1 dot equals, and we're going to ignore case. There are a couple ways you can get around this. If you don't want to use the ignore case, you can make the command all uppercase just by doing com.substring dot to uppercase or to lowercase. All depends on how you want to format your commands. I want it to be such that you can put in any combination of upper and lowercase letters you want. I just want it to be able to say, type in pin on and whatever, and it'll do that, so you don't have to worry about case sensitivity. So equals ignore case, and we're going to say equals pin on. And I don't have to specify any upper or lowercase for pin on, because it's going to, again, ignore the case. Now int pin is going to equal part 2, this is the pin number, dot to int, so we'll just convert that to an integer. And then digital write pin, we're going to turn it on. Else, if part 1 dot equals ignore case, pin off, scroll down a bit, there we go. We'll do the same thing, int pin equals part 2 dot to int, digital write pin, we're going to write it, not high this time, we're going to write it low. And there we go. So we've got the two commands we want, pin on and pin off, and then we've got the second part of the command, which is the pin itself. Obviously, it's only going to convert the second part to an integer if these commands are either pin on or pin off. So if you wanted to add extra commands afterward that didn't have a number second argument, you can do that. I would like to write code in a way that I can add things on later, so everything's expandable if need be. And I guess we'll just add one more case, else we'll add like a default case. So if none of these are commands, or if it doesn't recognize any of the commands that we typed in, we can just put in something like serial.println command not recognized. And there we go. So that should do it. Now, I'm not going to be showing the Arduino and a couple LEDs attached to the pins. I'm going to be using the Visual Micro debugger. So I'm going to go into the parsing example class. I'm going to make sure I've got the debugger set to full, which I do. Obviously, if you want to run this yourself, you're going to need some visual means to inspect the pins. I have the debugger here. And I'm going to turn on, where is it? Where? There it is. I'm going to report the digital pins. So if I start the debugging, I see I have an error somewhere. Oh, I didn't actually even read the error. Error in function void loop expected before if. Oh, I did not put a semicolon there. Try that one more time. F5, there we go. In void loop. Oh, and this shouldn't be a string, that should be a... There we go. Sorry, I move a little fast when I start typing. Okay, so there we go. Oh, so what we have here is... Drag that over a bit. There we go. Okay, so here we've got visual representation of pins 3, 4, and 5. Red means off, green means on. So if I type pin on 3, you can see the green, the 3 turns green. And if I type pin off 3, it goes off. And again, I can create any any change in capitalization. So I can say pin off, or pin on rather, 3, and it still recognizes it. And again, I can do pin off 3, still recognizes it. And you can, again, this works with any of the pins we've got set up. So pin 4 on, pin 5 on, pin 3 on, and then pin off 4. And there we go. So that does it. That we've successfully created a parsing system that accepts 2 commands, pin on and pin off, for any pin we've got set up as an output. Obviously, if I move over here, if you had more pins set up as an output, you can control more pins, or if you had all the pins set up as an output from the start, again, you could control all these pins right away. So, and now if we try, say, pin off, there we go. So it doesn't know what that command is, so it's going to say command not recognized. And so our default case works as well. So that is it for this. I hope this answered a lot of questions people had about creating a little more complex and a little more well-functioning parsing system. I said I know the last one, the one I did in my last video, wasn't that well done. Probably could have been done a lot better. So hopefully this shows that yes, I do know how to write a parser, and I hope this has explained to you how to write your own system parser. And again, this can be expanded. This has been done so that it will run for any 2-part command. Again, you can make this 3 parts, 4 parts. You can even make it so that it's dynamic. You can have parts. You can have commands with 3 parts, commands with 5 parts, commands that just run off 1 word. So again, very dynamic system. Hope this has helped. I'm Human Hard Drive. Thanks for watching.